we failed to tell you earlier that we'll be talking about children's literature. Yes, you know, as we were growing up, a lot of us read the Lady Bird series, for instance. That was my favorite. I think I read every book. But a lot of the time, you don't find children's books that are inspired by African stories. So there's a whole lot of books from other parts of the world dumped on us, if that's the word I want to use this morning, and we have to read and get to know more about their culture. How about telling, for instance, the Kukwanansi story that is so unique to Ghana in several ways to reach other people, other children across the world as well, to know of the character, that cunning character we know as Kukwanansi. Okay, there's an organization that is trying to facilitate this, the Golden Baobab. They are actually asking you to write stories for children inspired by the African stories, African rhythms, and the executive director, Deborah Ahenkra, has joined us here this morning to tell us more about that award. I mean, I'm interested in the prize money first.
Yeah, well, so we offer a very prestigious prize to African writers and illustrators to inspire them to create stories for children. It's a $20,000 prize.
Do I qualify?
You do qualify. You do qualify. So it's open to writers. So if you are a writer or you want to write, you qualify so long as you're a citizen of an African country. If you're an artist and you want to illustrate, you can definitely enter the competition.
And how long have you been doing this?
So this is the sixth year. This is the sixth year of the prize, yes. So it's African wide, and we've got lots of traction in different African countries, and now we're home based in Ghana and making a bigger push here.
Tell me about the fifth one.
Okay, so the fifth year of the prize was very exciting. We had hundreds of stories from, I think, 12 African countries.
Which country dominated?
South Africa. South Africa dominated, and in fact 3 of the winners were from South Africa. We had 3 people from Ghana on the long list, and hopefully this year there will be more.
Okay, and did the Ghanaians go far?
They made it to the top 20. We had some,
and that was it.
To the yes, and that was it.
Why is it so?
Various reasons. I think one part of it is enough people hearing about the prize. I think that as much as we've been around for 6 years, this is the year that we're really stepping up. So before, the prize money was about $1,000, but now the entire prize package is $20,000.
But should it be about the money? Or do you think people are not entering because, one, they don't know about it, 2, the prize money was just too small, or we are not creative enough with our writing skills?
I think it's a combination. It's a combination, and the most important factor being people don't know about it.
Okay.
So I think that if enough people know about it, then we'd have writers coming out of all parts. And really, it's not even so much about the numbers, is it, right? If it's a great story, that story will travel the world. So we're really looking for those, like, if there's like an Enid Blyton in Ghana, right?
Yes.
And we want to find that person, and they shouldn't just produce one book, they should produce thousands of stories that children all over will fall in love with.
Yeah.
So we're currently open for submissions. The submission deadline is June 21st.
Oh, that's a long one.
Yes, we have some time. So we're calling writers and illustrators, and it's open to all age ranges. So you can enter if you have like a daughter or a son who is 18 and below. They can enter our Rising Writer and Rising Illustrator prize, and all of the details are on our website.
Okay, and what stood out for the winners last year?
A few factors. I think when it comes to telling stories for children, because we come very much from a tradition that's very moralistic, a tradition that's like do this and that, we see a lot of those stories. But when it comes to children want stories that are funny. They want stories that are silly. They want stories that are captivating, that will take them to another world.
I like that one. Yes. Captivating.
Exactly. So I think that we do often get a lot of very didactic stories, and this happened, and the lesson to be learned is blah, blah, blah. But then we also get stories that's like, psh, and takes children to another world, and those stories go really far.
Yeah. So the last one was held where?
So, well, it's not particularly held
anywhere. It's just across the continent.
Exactly.
Okay.
This year, however, there will be an award ceremony, and it will be in Nigeria at the end of the year.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
where you will announce the winner.
Yes, that's where the winners will be announced. in
Okay.
Nigeria.
And this 20,000 package is for them to do exactly what?
So it's for them to submit. We have the $20,000 actually 6 prizes.
Okay.
So there's one prize for the best picture book manuscripts. There's one prize for the best early chapter book manuscript. One prize for a writer below the age of 18. There's a prize for the best illustrator and a prize for an illustrator below the age of 18, and one also for
That's the
lifetime
rising-
achievement, the rising illustrator. And all of these details are on our website, which is www.goldenbaobab.org.
goldenbaobab.org.
Yes.
Okay.
So we encourage everybody who is interested ASAP today, get on the website, get the details that you need, and get started on your stories. And if you have any questions at all of our details are on the website. We encourage people to reach out.
Okay, let's look at Ghanaian writers. I mean, when I go on Twitter and other social media platforms, I see several young people attempting to write poems. I wouldn't say all of them are great. I mean, I've read some really fantastic ones from 2 people on Twitter, 2 people that I follow on Twitter, and I'm always, yearning to read more from them, just about 2 people. But you see the interest there for people to write, but they fail to captivate me. I mean, there's something that I'm looking for, and I can't quite find it. Is it a general problem across the board here in Ghana, or as you go through the submissions from other African countries, you see these traits?
Well, I mean, I think it's difficult to judge, right? It's like art. One person's concept of what's beautiful art isn't another person's concept. And for us as a prize...
But a good story is a good story.
A good story is a good story, you're absolutely right. But good stories take different forms, right? So this weekend I read a really good story that was a bit of a gory drama. And someone would say that it's not a good story because their concept of a good story is like a hot romance, story. So I think you can find good stories everywhere. I think sometimes they get lost in translation when it comes to writing because perhaps our educational system doesn't equip
So the
us.
writing ability?
I think sometimes the writing ability suffers. So sometimes actually we'll find a really good story just buried in not so great writing. Because what's a good story? A good story is one that will carry you from beginning to end.
Exactly.
It has the right
when I'm reading a
factors.
book, I want you to hold my hand.
Exactly.
And take me through to the end.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And some writing fails in that regard. For us, because this is for children, our main focus is on the story. Create stories that children will love and come back to over and over again. So you look at some of the greatest children's stories that we know. You look at the Hans Christian Andersen classics, the Snow White and the Little Red Riding Hoods. It's just such a fascinating story, and you see yourself in that story, and it takes you to a different place, and that's what we are encouraging with this prize. So in the next 5 years, we want you to be able to walk into any bookstore anywhere in the world and find
So what has been the impact
stories.
so far?
Incredible impact actually to date. So we've run the prize for 6 years. We've got over 1,000 stories from more than 20 African countries. We have to date about 6 of those stories published in various countries. We've worked with illustrators, we've done workshops, and the future is great. Currently we're looking for support to be able to do so much more, right? So if our goal is to impact the entire continent with stories, and we are a small organization to date, with the right support we'll
Is
be
it
able
Ghanaian
to.
owned?
It is Ghanaian owned.
Oh, fantastic.
Yeah, we'll be able to amplify that so much more.
Okay, so as she said, it's open now. You can send in your stories, get more information on www.goldenbaobab.org. Org is O-R-G. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay, and submit. I mean, you can submit as many as you can.
I think you submit up till 5 stories.
How long?
A year. For the picture book, it's between 7,000 to 2,000 words. The chapter book is between 5,000 to 10,000. But all of these details, there are other details that you need to consider. So all of the details are on our website. If you're not sure, if you can, you go on our website. There'll be some resources and some tips.
Do you get
to
inundated?
help. We do. We do get a lot of stories, but that's what we hope for, because as a social enterprise, it's really not so much the end product, it's that, but also what we can inspire along the way. So this weekend I was actually in a village in the Volta region, Goy, at a book launch for one of our winning shortlisted stories.
Okay.
And this story was written by a woman, Vivian Amano. She's a librarian in this village, and she's loved children's books all her life. And she kept on saying, I've had such a difficult life. Nobody would have ever imagined that I too could become a writer. And today her book is published. It's published internationally, and who knows where that will go. So anybody really could.
You get more children writing.
We because we have the separate prize for children, we do get some children writing, and again, that's also part of what we want to do. We want to get people excited about writing from an early age. And the thing with writers, the thing with true writers, is that they burn until their stories are out. And we want to find those people and say, it's okay, stop burning, right? Here's your outlet, and write these stories, and let's get them published.
And then yearly, do you see the numbers going up?
We do see the numbers going up. We started very very humbly. The first year, about 776 stories. So a few things. I think in some ways it was a little bit of anger. I started the organization. I started when I was in university, because then I was involved in promoting literacy. I was in university in the US, and how we promoted literacy was by collecting books all over America and bringing them to Ghana and other African countries, and all of these were Western books. And I thought, the US has $1 billion industry for children's content. Why? Because they sat down and they said, we're going to write these stories and we're going to turn them into everything. The Lion King is an African story. It's grossed millions of dollars in movie sales alone, not to mention the merchandise, the Broadway shows, etc. So in a continent that is apparently poor, that is looking to create wealth, we have all these wealth opportunities around us that we are not tapping into. You look at the Nigerian movie industry. 15 years ago, it really wasn't worth much. Today, it's $1 million industry. You look at our music industry, hip life. 20 years ago, it wasn't worth much. Today, it's $1 million industry. So we have all of these potentials around us, and we don't tap into it enough.
Congratulations.
Thank you so
Deborah.
much.
Very proud of you. And yes, she's a woman.
Thank you so much.
Okay, so Deborah Ahenkro is the executive director of Golden Baobab, and they are calling for submissions between now and June.
Between now and the end of June. So
End of June,
yes,
so it's a long haul actually.
yes, people need to get on our website. They need to get on our social media, Facebook and our Twitter. All the information they need will be there.
Okay, and your Twitter handle
Our
is
Twitter handle is @GoldenBaobab.
@GoldenBaobab.
And Facebook is facebook.com/GoldenBaobab. So as well, if people are interested in partnering with us, if people believe that this vision is valid.
exactly. I was going to ask you about funding.